Welcome back. Today we get into our React front end for this simple to-do application that we've been working on. In the previous videos, we spun up an Express server, and then we set up a data storage, which was SQLite. Today we want to continue building on that with our React front end. This is going to take a couple videos, so I'm going to focus on just a few bits in here, about half of them, and then we're going to finish them in a follow-up video. And then the video after that, we're going to style it up, okay? There's just a lot to cover in here. So breaking it up into manageable pieces is where I want to live, okay? So the React front end, that's what we're doing. If you remember, we have 3 tabs open in our terminal, okay? The first one is our backend, and we can spin that up really fast. npm run dev. That's going to run on port 8000, which means that if we are over in Bruno, we can actually send off these requests. We should only see 3 because it always starts with 3. But then if we start adding to this, maybe we add that buy milk. Now we're going to see that 4th one down here. So everything there is working, which means that we can jump over to tab 2. Okay. Tab 3 is where we do most of our Git commits. Tab 2 is going to be our front end, at least for me. You do you. So inside of here, I'm going to run a command. Now there's a few different ways to do this. The most popular one is something called create React app. That's been around for years and years at this point, but newer solutions have come along and sometimes they're a little bit faster. So the one that I like to use is called Vite. Vite is French for fast, just in case you're wondering why it's pronounced that way, but npm create Vite at latest, and then we type in front end. And the front end part is the folder that we want it to go into, okay? So when we fire this, it's going to ask us what kind of app. This is one of the things that I like about Vite is that it has all these different frameworks, right? All these different libraries. Today we want React and JavaScript, okay? It's going to give us some instructions. So let's go do that. cd front end. That's our folder. So you can actually see that right here now. npm install. It's going to go through the process. It might take a second. Give me a chance to drink some water. Just like that. And then, of course, the final one is npm run dev. Okay. Now, at this point, we get a URL, 5173, okay? That's the default one that Vite uses. We can take that over to Chrome, paste it in, hit enter, and we get all of this good stuff. So we can see that it's working. It's got a little animations. We have a counter here and some instructions on how to get started. This would be a really good time to commit. But before I do that, I want to gut this. I want to get rid of all of this stuff, because it doesn't make sense to me to commit stuff that I'm never going to use, okay? So way over here, inside of the code editor, we have that front end. Back end is here, Bruno, front end. We crack open front end, and all of these files are what make our app work, okay? Some of them we don't need though, like public. We can just get rid of that, okay? Inside of source, we have assets, so we can go and delete that. I was using the keyboard shortcut, but there that is. App.css, we're going to create that ourselves, so delete that. Yes. Index.css, delete that. We don't need that one because we'll do it ourselves. And now we clean up the code. So inside of main, this line 4, index.css, get rid of it. And then inside of app, we're going to get rid of most of this stuff. So between the fragment, everything from here to the final P, it should look like this when you've cleaned it out. And then we're going to add that H1, and it's going to be to do app. Okay. Now everything is kind of faded out here because none of this is used anymore. Okay. So we can delete this and delete this. And then you'll see that this one actually goes away too. So we get rid of that. And now we have a really clean app. And if we go back to the browser, you'll see that it has nothing. We can open our dev tools, no errors, Everything is good. This is where I want to do my first commit today. Okay. So back to the terminal, that third tab, get status. We can see that it's front end. Git add dot, get status again, just to see the files. There should be no node modules in here, right? We stopped that last time. It includes its own git ignore. That's interesting. Readmes, we'll talk about a lot of this stuff later, but for the most part, we can just commit it, okay? So commit -m. This is going to be chore for the front end, and it is initial commit for front end. If you picked a different name or a different message, that's okay too, but that's what I'm doing. Now we should just test to see if we can get the data in, right? We have the back end working right over here. We have the front end working, that's over here. So in theory, we should be able to get them to talk to each other, okay? Back to the code. I'm going to do it in app, so that should be the only file that's open, app.jsx. And when we do this, anytime we reach out to the internet, we're probably using use effect inside of React, right? If you're in a different place, a different framework, probably using something else, but for React, they call it use effect. And if you see it highlighted here as the first one with React at the end, that means that hitting enter is going to help us out. It added that import statement for us. It finished typing the text for us. And all we have to do is complete the thing, okay? Now inside of here, we do add a callback as the first argument. And the second argument is what we call the dependency array. We aren't using the dependency array for this, but we should always include one. In this case, an empty dependency array only runs use effect when the component is mounted. So it's kind of like on mount, if you remember old school React, okay? But for this, use effect is what we want. And inside of here, we can do all of our favorite stuff. I'm just going to use a fetch like this. In fact, a little bit of copy and pasting. I'm going to go to getTodos in Bruno, copy and paste that right there. That's all we need for that. Now we can get the data. Okay. If it comes back successful, right? We have this then. Okay. And that's going to give us the response. Now the response has lots of different stuff, but all we care about is the actual data. And we can get to that using JSON. Okay. Response.json is what we need. That is also going to return a promise. So we need a second then, which gives us the ability to use that data. Okay. So inside of here, console log response. And if I save that and go back to Chrome, I'm going to see a whole lot of red over here. And that red is not because we messed up. Everything that we did in React so far has been bang on. There's nothing wrong with it. In fact, if you read this, you're going to see that it says we can't actually access that URL. It's been blocked by CORS. CORS being cross-origin resource sharing, right? So it's saying that these two things can't communicate, and that's because the backend is saying, no, the door is closed, you can't come in, okay? So we need something on the back end that lets the front end talk. And we do that by going into the back end. So into this tab here, we shut it down and we npm install CORS. Okay. So that's our first step. We've included that package. Now we need to use it. Right now we can run that dev environment again. That's okay. And back over here, inside of the back end, we open server. Okay. Right here, we're going to add that CORS middleware. Okay. So use, just like before, CORS, excellent. Okay. This is not going to work because we have not imported it. So right here, maybe just after the express part, we go const CORS equals require CORS. Okay. Brilliant. Now There is a bit in here that we need to talk about, and that's the fact that just doing this without any arguments, right? This can also take an object in here of options, but by not supplying any arguments to cores, we're unlocking our API to the world. So anybody can use this. Probably not a great idea. We probably want to lock it down so that only our front-end app can talk to our back-end. In this example, I'm not going to do that. That's something that you can research later. It's just a toy app, so I'm not going to lose too much sleep on that. But I did want to call it out. So save that. Now if we go back, we need to refresh this. And now we're getting data. We're actually seeing data twice. So a quick call out on that. That is nothing to be concerned with. That is over in main, you'll see this strict mode. And when strict mode is on, it runs everything twice to check for memory leaks. This only happens in development. So when you publish your app to the universe, right? When you send it up for production, this gets disabled. But during development mode, it's absolutely useful to make sure that we don't have memory leaks, okay? If you want, you could delete that and just have app, but I'm going to leave it in there because I'm not offended by it. At this point, we should commit. We have something that works. So let's go over here to our third tab, Git Status. We have a bunch of backend stuff. So git add, instead of the dot, we're going to type backend. And Git Status, you'll see that it only added the backend files. Okay, very important. So we can go git commit -m. That is feature for backend. Or is it? Is it a front end task? I don't know. You decide. Okay, but add cores package. Brilliant. Okay, there we go. Since we are getting data in, let's go do that. Git status, git add dot, git commit -m, feature for the front end this time. Fetch and log data. Okay. Good. We have good commit messages. Back to our front end. Okay. So right over here into the code, we don't want to leave it like this. We actually want that code to display down here in the markup. Okay. So we need to do something with this right here. And for that, we use state. We put it in state, and state will allow the app to re-render when it needs to, at which point we can get those really nice re-renders. Okay. The word I was looking for was re-renders, where anytime that data updates, it's going to update our display automatically. Okay. So const, we're going to destructure some things in here, but that is going to use state. If it's highlighted like this, I can hit enter. It will show up in this import. Remember that if that isn't happening, you need to type that. Okay. And then we can supply an initial value. That initial value is going to be an empty array. Okay. So just like that. And then we get two things from that. We get the state, which we can call whatever we want, but we're going to call it ToDos. And then we get a setter that can change that state. And we're going to call that setToDos. Okay. So a way of getting the values and a way of changing the values. That's what we have here. This first one we're going to use right now by replacing that console log with setToDos. So that's going to go up to ToDos. And down here, we can add that console log right now as ToDos. Okay. Save it. We're going to see a bunch of output. Okay. We can refresh this. We see the empty array twice and the full array twice. Again, that's because of strict mode. Otherwise, we would just see the empty array and the full array. Okay. So we have that data. We want to get it to display down here, which means that now we need to add some stuff. To start, I'm going to add a placeholder for our input. That's going to come later. So this is add ToDos input, just so that we don't forget it. And then down here, I can start building stuff out. So here's our unordered list. And inside of there, I'm going to do some JSX kind of stuff, some JavaScript stuff. So that to-dos being an array has jumping around, has a map on it. And we can get a single to-do, which we then do stuff with. Now, I don't want curly braces here. Normally in JavaScript, we would use those curly braces, but I want parentheses, okay? And the reason that I want that is because it means I can keep doing JSX, keep doing something that looks like HTML. Now, inside of here, I get that to do, and it has content, okay? That's the value there. Save it, go back. It's screaming about something. We'll talk about that in a second, but I can see that right there. Now you'll see some red over there, and of course that underline, they are the exact same error. It's saying that each child of a list should have a key prop. The key prop helps React know how to surgically remove and add things to this list, how to move things around in a very efficient way. Okay. So let's add that right here. We go key equals, and we type in todo.id, okay? Which should clean that right up. We refresh it, gets rid of that. We don't even need the console log anymore. We can go and get rid of that really fast. Save it, refresh it, and now everything is working really nice, okay? Now, a quick call out on keys, because every list of sorts, every time you do a map, you should have a key. But sometimes you don't have unique data, okay? Sometimes you don't even need it, but it's going to scream at you anyway. So get used to adding this key whenever you do a map. And a lot of people will go and add index, okay? Index being the second argument that you get with map, or second argument for the callback function of map, okay? And you could replace this with index, okay? It's not going to really do anything here, but this can break things. And a lot of linters, ESLint and whatnot, if they're set up that way, they'll tell you that this is a bad deal, okay? This is a bad time, because if you sort to-dos, the index naturally changes. The index doesn't stay with the sort order. It always starts at 0 and increments up from there. So whichever item you put as first, if you change the first item, that index changes too, right? Changes to match. So index, not so good. Instead, we should be using something that is unique to the item. And todo.id is usually that thing, okay? Good, we are here, which means that we should probably commit. Let's go do that. Over here, git status, nice small commits. We can see what we changed. A few things, looks really, really good. Excellent. Git add dot, git commit -m, in quotes please, feet, front end, display data, okay? Good. So we're displaying it. Now we're going to work on our components, okay? So over here, I want to take all of this UL. I'm not going to remove it just yet, but inside of, not backend source, inside of front-end source, I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call this components. And inside of there, I'm going to create another folder called TodoList, capital To-Do list, okay? This is going to be our first component. It's going to be the UL, okay? Inside of there, I'm going to create a new file called index.jsx. Now, the reason that I name it index is because that way, when I import this, I don't need to go components to-do list. I can just go components to-do list, and it will look inside of this folder, and if it finds index, it will use it, which is awesome, okay? So over here for the code, const, same as the name, to-do list equals a function that returns some markup, okay? Boom, we paste it in. We should always export that, whether it's named or default, your choice. To-do list, Excellent. Okay. Now it can't find to-dos. To-dos is something that we should pass as a prop. We would usually name it as props and then use that down here. I'm not really a fan. Instead, I like to destructure props and just get to-dos. Okay. Now it's complaining about something else, and that something else is props validation. Okay. Props validation is a way of testing to make sure that the information you're getting is what you expect, whether it's a string or a number or an object or an array, whatever that is, it's trying to test for that. We have two options here. The first, and possibly the easiest, is to disable that rule. Okay. So we could just disable React prop types. Okay. That seems like a bad time because we are getting useful information from this. If we pass in something that is not to-dos like, we want to know that we're about to break stuff. Okay. So instead, right here, we're going to import prop types from prop types. Okay. This one is dash, this one's capitals. That's just how I roll. Okay. I'm going to make it even more complicated by going down here and going to do list dot lowercase prop capital T types. Okay. Equals an object. And this is where we list out all of these props. So we have to-dos, and that's going to be capital P prop types dot, and it gives us a whole list of things in here. What we're looking for is string. No, sorry. That's an array. It's an array. Come on. There we go. Hit save. Everything goes away. Everything is nice and clean. We can actually use this in our app. Nothing should really change. So we can go here. To do list. Remember to import it. We definitely need that import, which is why I backed out for a second. And now it's going to scream. Okay. It's going to scream because we didn't send any data in. So we need to send that prop. Okay. And we do that just like this. It even helps us a little bit. That's where the prop types comes in. Very helpful in a lot of different ways. Same with TypeScript. When you get there, TypeScript can be very useful. So we're going to do that. The value is to-dos. We save it. And now we are back to normal. This red just kind of persists. There we go. Okay. So that's working. We keep going. Let's grab this list item. Okay. We're going to bring that over under components, new folder. This is to do item. Okay. And inside of there, new file, index, type it right, index.jsx. Okay. Same thing. We add a const to do item. It's a function. And we return all of that good stuff. Okay. We're going to build this out a little bit more, but for the moment, we're going to leave it as is. Okay. Export default to do item. Sorry. It's again going to complain about where are these things, right? It also reformatted. Don't worry about that. It still works. We just need to figure out that to do. Okay. So same thing here, to do. Now it's going to complain that it doesn't really know what any of this is. So a little copy and pasting. I'm going to grab this import statement, put it right at the top. Okay. And then grab this thing down here, copy that, paste it over. And we need to change some things. So to do item, and this is just to do singular prop types of object. There we go. Save it. Everything is working. So now we can take that, put it into to-do list. Okay. So right here with the M, it's going to try and import it. Again, you definitely need that import. Okay. And we need to pass in to do, right? It helpfully suggests that, which is good. To do. Now, again, red line, what is it saying? The key prop. Okay. So the key does not exist here. This is not where we want this. We can cut this out, save it, bring it back, and put it right here on to-do item. It needs to be on the JSX that is a direct child of this map, okay? Whatever that is, that's where it goes. We save it. Now everything works. And over here, everything works. This red is because it rendered before. Now it's gone. Okay. Ooh. At this point, we need to update our markup, right? But before that, we have some components. So maybe we should commit. Let's go do that. Right over here, git status. We have the components. We have the app. Git add dot, git commit dash m. That's feature for the front end. Add some components. Useful messages for the win. Okay. So now that we're here, we are going to start changing that markup. And in fact, we should probably change the prop types a little bit too. Okay. So let's go do that. That's all going to happen inside of to-do item. We can actually close some of this for the moment. Just looking at to-do item. Okay. The first thing that we can do is this prop type's not super useful, right? It doesn't actually describe what's inside of that to-do object. So we can change that to shape. And what shape will do is it'll let us dictate what the object should hold. In this case, we really only display content at the moment. We're about to display the completed status as well. So let's go and add those. We have completed, which is going to be capital P prop types dot number. Okay. And right above it, let's put content, and that's capital P prop types dot string, right? So a little bit more useful. Doesn't really change anything that you can see, but again, if we decide to pass in completed as a Boolean, well, it's going to give us a helpful message. Okay. Nothing wrong with that. So right here, we can start adding that. Let's make some space. Actually, we need to bring those parentheses back. So cut it, paste it, make some room in here, just like this. Okay. So we need the checkbox, and we need the label that goes with the checkbox, and then we need a delete button. Okay. Those are the three items that we absolutely need to make this work. The label is actually our text content, but for every input, you should have a label. Okay. So here's input. It's going to be checkbox, just like this. And that's going to have an ID, right? Just like this. We're going to set that to todo.id. And what else? Completed, right? Checked. That's what we're looking for. Checked equals our completed status, which is thankfully really easy. That's just todo.completed. So if it's true, if it's false, it's going to make that work for us. Okay. Right here, the label underneath it. So label, it's going to be for, not for this. Let's get rid of that. todo.id, and inside of there is going to be todo.content. Okay. Which means that we can get rid of this. We just add a single button. That button should have a type equal to, plus sign. That's weird. Equal to button. Okay. It's not submitting a form, so we should always specify a type on that. And this will just say delete. Okay. Now, if I save this, it's going to scream that ID isn't in here because we didn't put that in. So we're already getting better type safety. Okay. Let's go and do that. ID should be prop types dot number, because that's what we're doing for the moment. Save it. Everything is good to go. Okay. And in fact, if we go over here, you'll see that we have a checkbox. It's checked because that one's to do. That one's done. This one over here is also done. But you're going to see this weird message over here. Okay. And the message is, because we haven't added a handler, specifically an onChange handler to the checkbox, it's going to lock it down. It's going to make it read only, which is why I cannot click on this. If I click on this one, you might see it flash, right? But I can't actually change any of these. So that is our next step. But for the moment, again, small changes, incremental changes, which means that we want to commit. Again, get status, we have that. We can see all of the good stuff that we did in here. Not too bad, good. Git add dot, git commit dash m, front end, just like this every time, except with the correct closing parentheses. Add better markup, right? That's what we did. Now we can start adding those controls. And for this is kind of where we finish, but we're going to add both the update and the delete. But in order to do that, we need to change one little thing, okay? That's over in this app file. We want to refetch the data every time we do an update, which means that we need a way to do this every single time. The best way to do that is to cut it out, set up a new function called maybe getTodos, okay? And set that equal to a function that runs this fetch, okay? So nothing about the fetch actually changes. We're just putting it in its own function. Because we're doing that set to do, we need this to be inside of the component, right? Otherwise, we'd have to pass that into. That might be fun, but for now, we'll just do it this way. getTodos, okay? So this should just work. Nothing changes. That's good, okay? Still getting that message. We'll keep getting that until we have a chance to do something else. But now we can use this in other places. And what I mean by that is once we're over here, let's just do it for a second, okay? So right here, I'm going to set up a handle change, I guess, okay? That's going to be this function that actually changes the input. Now, again, this is not going to work until we do some other things. But handle change, we are going to get that event, and we're going to do some stuff here. The first thing that we're going to do is set up a new body, okay? And the reason for that is because in a second, we're going to fetch some stuff, okay? But as part of that, we are going to send the updated body, okay? So right here, const body equals an object. What is it? Well, it's everything in to-do, okay? Whatever to-do sends down, we want that. But we do want to update completed status, okay? And that completed status comes from event.current target, very wordy, dot checked, okay? This is going to be true or false. So we have to do a little bit of extra work because we want 1 or 0, right? So if it's true, it's going to be 1. If it's false, it's going to be 0. Perfect. The fetch, okay? The fetch comes from over in Bruno. We can just grab the put, okay? Paste it in, update this, okay? To be todo.id. Now, because we're doing something else, we have extra information in here. We have the method, okay? The method is going to be put. Spell it right. There it is. We also have headers. We need the headers to tell it that we are sending JSON, which it makes this kind of wordy, right? It is capital C content dash type, okay? And then over here in brackets, we put application JSON, okay? That tells it that we're sending JSON data. And then finally, we do body. Now, you might think that we can just send this body. We need an extra step in there, okay? That extra step is to turn it into a string. So we have JSON.stringify, just like this. And we toss our new body in there. Okay. At this point, we can do stuff. But what you're going to find if we save this, first off, we didn't use it. So let's go do that. This is going to be on change. Okay. And we're going to handle change. Excellent. Maybe, I don't really like handle change. Maybe handle completed. Okay. I think I named that different than what I was expecting, but handle completed feels a little bit more descriptive. You'll see it reformat a little bit. That is perfectly okay. But now when we click on this, we should expect it to fire this. We can actually test that. So right here, check it. We're not going to get anything, but watch this. I'm going to refresh, and now it's checked. I check it again. I refresh, right? So not really a great experience. And that's why we needed to break out this getTodos, because we need this getTodos inside of this to-do item. Now, here's where it gets a little bit tricky. We're going to getTodos equal to, like this, getTodos, okay? In fact, we're going to use that in a couple places, so we're just going to grab it, copy it, okay? But now we are passing that in. In theory, it's not complaining, which is good. Over here into TodoList, we're now getting that, right? So getTodos, it's going to scream at us that A, we didn't use it, and B, it's not being validated. So we need to add that down here. getTodos, just like that. This is going to be prop types dot func. Func. So right there, save it. Now we use it, we pass it down. getTodos. I think I had this in my clipboard. I absolutely did. getTodos equals getTodos. We save that. That's now good. And then all the way down, one more time, getTodos. We save this. It's screaming because we need some stuff. So we have that to do, and right after it, we have getTodos, which is prop types dot func, right? That's what we said. Now that we have that, we can go right here to the end of this fetch, right? So that's this bracket right here, dot then, and use it. Whoops, not like that. We use the function, okay? Save it. Everything should go well. If this works, what'll happen is it'll send that request. If that request comes back successful, it will fire our getTodos, which will update our list. Let's go take a look. Right over here, refresh this, click it, click it, click it, click it, right? We can keep doing this. It all works. Because we used a label, I can actually click on the words, or I can click on the box. It's very, very nice, okay? And it does work between refreshes. I can refresh this, and it does hold steady, okay? So that was a lot. Let's go and commit that, okay? Git status, git diff. We're going to see inside of our use effect, we move some things around. There's the bottom of the use effect, the original use effect with getTodos. Git sometimes does this. You just got to get used to kind of reading it. Then we pass getTodos in. Down inside of the to-do item, we also pass getTodos in, and we added our handler, okay? Lots of good stuff. Now, git add dot, git commit -m. This is for the front end. And what did we do? We added completed handler, okay? Sounds like a good line. We have one more thing to do, and then we are done for this video, okay? And that is the delete button, okay? So right over here, we can reuse a surprising amount of this code. We're just going to copy it, paste it down, change it to handle delete or handle deleted. We've been using past tense here, so let's keep that fun train going. We no longer have an event because we don't care, okay? We get rid of the body. We're never sending a body, but we are sending the ID. The method is going to be delete, capital letters. I'm not sure if that matters or not. There we go. Again, no body, so none of this applies. And now we just use it. So down here on the button, on click, is going to be handle deleted. Okay. Save it just like this, go back, and let's try this first one, hit delete, and it is gone, right? I could keep doing that. I'm not going to because I don't want to delete all of them just yet. But at this point, we can check things off. We can delete them. We can't add anything yet, but it's getting there, right? Let's review what we did. Actually, let's commit first, right? So right here, get diff, looking at what we did. We added the handler. We added it to the button. Great. Okay. Git add dot, git commit -m for the front end, just like before. Add delete handler. Okay. Excellent. Git log -- one line. And we started right back here. This was our last commit, add graceful shutdown. So we set up the front end. We used create Vite for that. Okay. We had to add a cores package to our backend, but then we fetched the data. We displayed the data. We added some components, made the markup better, and just kept improving on it until we had a fully functioning list. We still have no way of adding. We'll get to that in the next video. But for now, so long as you're happy with the list that we got, you can tick it off and delete it. Okay. So stay tuned for the next one where we add this input and improve a few things. There's a couple things that I want to improve here. So come back. Hit me up in the comments if you have any questions or if you did it a different way. Again, there are no wrong answers here. If the code works, you've succeeded. This is just my way of doing it. So hit me up in those comments. Otherwise, I will see you in the next one.